Vaisheshika or Vaiśeṣika is one of the 6 orthodox schools of Hinduism from ancient India. In its early stages, the Vaiśeṣika was an independent philosophy with its own metaphysics, epistemology, logic, ethics, and soteriology. Over time, the Vaiśeṣika system became similar in its philosophical procedures, ethical conclusions and soteriology to the Nyaya school of Hinduism, but retained its difference in epistemology and metaphysics. The epistemology of Vaiśeṣika school of Hinduism, like Buddhism, accepted only 2 reliable means to knowledge: perception and inference. Vaiśeṣika school and Buddhism both consider their respective scriptures as indisputable and valid means to knowledge, the difference being that the scriptures held to be a valid and reliable source by Vaishikas were the Vedas. Vaisheshika school is known for its insights in naturalism, and it is a form of atomism in natural philosophy. It postulated that all objects in the physical universe are reducible to paramanu, and one's experiences are derived from the interplay of substance, quality, activity, commonness, particularity, and inherence. Knowledge and liberation was achievable by complete understanding of the world of experience. According to Vaiśeṣika school of Hinduism, Vaiśeṣika Darshana was founded by Kanada Kashyapa around the 2nd century BC. Overview. Although the Vaisheshika system developed independently from the Nyaya school of Hinduism, the two became similar and are often studied together. In its classical form, however, the Vaisheshika school differed from the Nyaya in one crucial respect. Where Nyaya accepted 4 sources of valid knowledge, the Vaisheshika accepted only 2. The epistemology of Vaiśeṣika school of Hinduism accepted only 2 reliable means to knowledge: perception and inference. Vaisheshika espouses a form of atomism, that the reality is composed of 4 substances. Each of these 4 are of 2 types, explains Ganeri, atomic and composite. An atom is that which is indestructible, indivisible, and has a special kind of dimension, called small. A composite is that which is divisible into atoms. Whatever human beings perceive is composite, and even the smallest perceptible thing, namely, a fleck of dust, has parts, which are therefore invisible. The Vaishikas visualized the smallest composite thing as a triad, with 3 parts, each part with a dyad. Vaishikas believed that a dyad has 2 parts, each of which is an atom. Size, form, truths and everything that human beings experience as a whole is a function of atoms, their number and their spatial arrangements. Vaisheshika postulated that what one experiences is derived from dravya, guna, karma, samanya, vishesha and samavaya. Epistemology. Hinduism identifies 6 pramanas as epistemically reliable means to accurate knowledge and to truths: pratyeksa, anumana, upamana, arthapati, anupalabdha and abda. Of these, Vaiśeṣika epistemology considered only pratyeksa and anumana as reliable means of valid knowledge. Nyaya school, related to Vaiśeṣika, accepts 4 out of these 6. Pratyeksa means perception. It is of 2 types: external and internal. External perception is described as that arising from the interaction of 5 senses and worldly objects, while internal perception is described by this school as that of inner sense, the mind. The ancient and medieval texts of Hinduism identify 4 requirements for correct perception: indriyartha sanakasa with the object, whatever is being studied, avyapadasya, avyabhakara and vyavasayatmaka. Some ancient scholars proposed unusual perception as pramana and called it internal perception, a proposal contested by other Indian scholars. The internal perception concepts included pratava, samanyalaksana pratyeksa, and jainanalaksana pratyeksa. Further, the texts considered and refined rules of accepting uncertain knowledge from pratyeksa pranama, so as to contrast nirnaya from anadyavasaya. Anumana means inference. It is described as reaching a new conclusion and truth from one or more observations and previous truths by applying reason. Observing smoke and inferring fire is an example of a new manner. In all except one Hindu philosophies, this is a valid and useful means to knowledge. The method of inference is explained by Indian texts as consisting of three parts: pratana, hetu, and drishtanta. The hypothesis must further be broken down into two parts, state the ancient Indian scholars. Sadhya and paksha. The inference is conditionally true if sapaksha are present, and if vipaksha are absent. For rigor, the Indian philosophies also state further epistemic steps. For example, they demand vyapta, the requirement that the hetu must necessarily and separately account for the inference in all cases, in both sapaksha and vipaksha. A conditionally proven hypothesis is called a nigamana syllogism. The syllogism of the Vaiśeṣika school was similar to that of the Nyaya school of Hinduism, but the names given by Prasastarpada to the 5 members of syllogism are different. Literature of Vaisheshika. The earliest systematic exposition of the Vaiśeṣika is found in the Vaiśeṣika Sutra of Kannada. This treatise is divided into 10 books. The 2 commentaries on the Vaiśeṣika Sutra, Ravanabhasya and Buradvadabhati, are no more extant. Prasastarpada's Padartha-dharma-samgraha is the next important work of this school. Though commonly known as Bhashya Vaiśeṣika Sutra, this treatise is basically an independent work on the subject. The next Vaiśeṣika treatise, Kandrasdasapadarthasastra, based on Prasastarpada's treatise, is available only in Chinese translation. The earliest commentary available on Prasastarpada's treatise is Vyamashiva's Vyomavati. The other 3 commentaries are Hridayara's Nyayakandalai, Udayana's Kiranavali, and Rivatsa's Lilavati. Ivaditya's Saptapadadi, which also belongs to the same period, presents the Nyaya and the Vaiśeṣika principles as a part of one whole. Amkara Misrazupaskara on Vaiśeṣika Sutra is also an important work. The categories or padartha, all objects of experience, can be classified into 6 categories: dravya, guna, karma, samanya, vaisasa and samavaya. Later Vaiśeṣikas added one more category, abhava. The first 3 categories are defined as artha and they have real objective existence. The last 3 categories are defined as buddhyapaksam and they are logical categories. 1. Dravya. The substances are conceived as 9 in number. They are prthvi, ap, tekas, vayu, akasa, kala, dik, atman and manas. The first 5 are called bhutas, the substances having some specific qualities so that they could be perceived by one or the other external senses. 2. Guna. The Vaiśeṣika Sutra mentions 17 gunas, to which Prasastarpada added another 7. While a substance is capable of existing independently by itself, a guna cannot exist so. The original 17 gunas are rupa, rasa, gandha, spasa, samhaya, paramana, prathaktivya, samyoga, vibhaga, paritva, aparitva, buddha, sukha, dukkha, iccha, dvesa and prayana. To these Prasastarpada added gurutva, dravatva, sneha, dharma, adharma, sabda and samskara. 3. Karma. The karmas, like gunas, have no separate existence, they belong to the substances. But while a quality is a permanent feature of a substance, an activity is a transient one. Akasa, kala, dikanatman, those substances are devoid of karma. 4. Samanya. Since there are plurality of substances, there will be relations among them. When a property is found common to many substances, it is called samanya. 5. Vaiśeṣika. By means of Vaiśeṣika, we are able to perceive substances as different from one another. As the ultimate atoms are innumerable, so are the Vaiśeṣikas. 6. Samavaya. Kannada defined samavaya as the relation between the cause and the effect. Prasastarpada defined it as the relationship existing between the substances that are inseparable, standing to one another in the relation of the container and the contained. The relation of samavaya is not perceivable but only inferable from the inseparable connection of the substances. The atomic theory. The early Vaiśeṣika texts presented the following syllogism to prove that all objects, i.e., the four bhutas, prthvi, ap, tekas and vayu, are made of indivisible paramanas. Assume that the matter is not made of indivisible atoms, and that it is continuous. Take a stone. One can divide this up into infinitely many pieces. Now, the Himalayan mountain range also has infinitely many pieces. So one may build another Himalayan mountain range with the infinite number of pieces that one has. One begins with a stone and ends up with the Himalayas, which is a paradox, so the original assumption that matter is continuous must be wrong, and so all objects must be made up of a finite number of paramanas. According to the Vaiśeṣika school, the Trasarenu are the smallest Mahat particles and defined as Trianukas. These are made of three parts, each of which are defined as Dvyanuka. The Vyanukas are conceived as made of two parts, each of which are defined as Paramanu. The Paramanas are indivisible and eternal, they can neither be created nor destroyed. Each Paramanu possesses its own distinct Vaiśeṣika. The measure of the partless atoms is known as Paramandala Paramana. It is eternal and it cannot generate the measure of any other substance. Its measure is its own absolutely. Later developments. Over the centuries, the school became closely identified with the Nyaya school of Indian philosophy, as Nyaya Vaiśeṣika. The school suffered a natural decline in India after the 15th century. Views by the Vedanta school. The Vaisheshikas say that the visible universe is created from an original stock of atoms. As Kannada's Vaiśeṣika Sutra states, Nityam Paramandalam, he and his followers also postulate eternality for other, non-atomic entities, including the souls who become embodied, and even a supreme soul. But in Vaiśeṣika cosmology, the souls and the supersoul play only token roles in the atomic production of the universe. The Brahma Sutra says Upayathapi na karmates tadabhava. According to this sutra, one cannot claim that, at the time of creation, atoms first combine together because they are impelled by some karmic impulse adhering in the atoms themselves, since atoms by themselves, in their primeval state before combining into complex objects, have no ethical responsibility that might lead them to acquire pious and sinful reactions. Nor can the initial combination of atoms be explained as a result of the residual karma of the living entities who lie dormant prior to creation, since these reactions are each jiva's own and cannot be transferred from them even to other jivas, what to speak of inert atoms.